What is up, Gig Nation? Welcome back to the channel. If you've been following my videos, you know that I've tried out just about every popular gig economy app out there, especially the delivery apps. Now, a few months back, I had my first day on the UberEats platform. I kind of hit the ground running there, and I found out that this is the most popular delivery app for customers right now, and it is paying out really good for delivery drivers. Last night, I was working on the app, and I was really cleaning it up. I did 10 deliveries. I worked for just about 3 hours, and I made $145. I was averaging $10 per delivery, and there was a quest going on, so I had a $40 bonus on top of that. Those are some good earnings, and I know that there's a lot of other people out there that are subscribers of the channel that are working on Uber Eats, and there's also a lot of people out there that are just switching over to delivering with Uber Eats right now because it's becoming so popular. So I figured that it is a perfect time to make this video. And I'm going to share with you guys a little bit of that knowledge that I've been picking up over these last few months, combined with the knowledge that I've learned from all the different delivery apps that I've tried, to give you guys 7 things that I wish I had known before starting. These 7 things can literally save you so much money. They can help you earn more money, and they're going to make your day so much easier. So let's go ahead and just jump right into this with number 1. You need to be setting goals when you're working and when you're delivering with Uber Eats. Uber Eats is gamified. The people working at Uber headquarters know how addicting this app is. They know how much drivers love delivering with Uber Eats, how easy it is to get sucked into it when you're making money, and they gamify that to get you on the app as much as possible so that you're out there making deliveries for them. And by no means is that a bad thing. But with Uber Eats, you have the opportunity to be your own boss. And as gamified as this platform is, you need to kind of learn what those games are and how to play the game instead of getting played, so that you're in complete control while you're delivering with Uber Eats. You're maximizing your earnings, and you're feeling like at the end of the day, you are actually running your own business. And that all starts with setting the right goals while you're delivering for Uber Eats. You should try and decide how much money you want to make every single week, what you want to make every single day, and you should try and hit those targets every week. Now, you got to be realistic here, because there's definitely going to be a lot of ups and downs. You're going to have busy days, you're going to have less busy days, you're going to have the busiest hours during those days, and you're going to have downtime when you're not getting a lot of work. So when you're setting those goals, you need to look back over those goals over time, see what's working and what's not, when are the best times to work, and that way you can be the most efficient you while you're delivering on the Uber Eats app. If you're not setting these goals, then it can be really easy to get yourself burned out on the app. You may be hitting the right numbers, but you may be working too much to get there, and that can be really tough on you. It's not going to be the best way to have some longevity as a delivery driver. So you want to really think about this, and we're going to go into all of the different things that you need to think about when you're delivering with Uber Eats. So let's go ahead and get into number 2. Track your miles. I cannot tell you how important this is. Some people miss it. It seems easy. It seems like something that's kind of common sense right now, but if you're new to Uber Eats and you've never worked as an independent contractor, you've never worked in the gig economy, this is something that you need to start doing day one. If you are delivering on a bike or a scooter, it's not important because you don't get a standard deduction for that, but most tax professionals will tell you that the best way to get your deductions come tax time is to track your miles and to just use the standard deduction, which I believe is about 59 cents per mile right now. Now, I always recommend talking to a tax professional. This is not tax advice, but this is definitely the consensus that I've seen when talking to different tax advisors myself. So at the end of the year, when it comes time to do your own taxes for Uber Eats, you're going to have to pay up that money that you owe because Uber Eats isn't taking any taxes out of your paycheck. Now, the standard deduction, you're essentially just multiplying those miles that you have been tracking by that 59 cents per mile. And there's a few different ways to do this. You can use a free mileage tracker. I'll leave a couple links below to some that I recommend. But some drivers don't actually like free mileage trackers because they're not always perfectly accurate. So the old school way of doing it, which always works, is just recording your start and end time, the date, and how many miles you drove. You can do this by just recording from your odometer the start miles when you're about to start delivering, and then after you're done delivering, recording the end number of miles on your vehicle. You subtract the two, and that gives you your total miles per the day. Number 3, as your own boss, you need to decide what orders are worth your time and what orders are not worth your time. So you got to kind of come up with how much you want to get paid per mile that you're driving. And you're going to be given all of these statistics before you actually accept an order. So when it pops up on the screen, it's going to show you the total miles you're going to drive, the time estimate, how much you get paid, and this includes an estimated tip, which turns out to be really accurate. In all my time delivering with Uber Eats, what I've found is that Uber is actually prompting the customers before an order is placed to leave that tip. So you're most likely going to get that tip paid out. And a lot of times you actually end up making more than the estimate at the end of the day with all things considered. Unless you really mess something up with an order and take too long, bring it to the customer cold, you're going to end up getting that tip. But in order to decide what pay per mile is worth it, you need to know how much it's actually costing you to drive your vehicle. So that 59 cents deduction, that's kind of what the IRS estimates, including all vehicles out there, what it's going to cost you, including gas, including wear and tear on a national average for your vehicle to drive. But if you're driving in a place where gas is really cheap, you have an incredibly fuel efficient car, let's say it's an old beater, but it's a Honda or Toyota, so you're not going to have a ton of maintenance, all of a sudden it's really cheap to drive that car. So you can get away with taking orders that are going to pay out a little bit lower per mile, and you're still going to be, maximizing your after expense profits on the Uber Eats platform. Now, if you're delivering in the right areas at the right time, then you don't have to worry as much about this because you're going to be getting a lot of good orders coming your way, and you're going to want to keep moving with those orders. You don't want to stop and wait too long for the next order, but it is important to know that threshold and always keep it in the back of your mind. And once you do accept that offer, you're going to go straight to the restaurant. You want to have the order pulled open on your phone. You want to know the customer's name. If it's a batched offer, then you want to know both customers' name. Go straight up to someone that works at the restaurant. Let them know that you're there, that you work for Uber Eats. Show them your screen with the customer's name on it. And that way they can go ahead and make sure that your order is either ready or they can get on that and get that order out as quickly as possible. Number 4, know your city. I can't tell you how important this is. You really have to know the intricacies of where you're delivering, and you can use Google Maps for this a little bit. You can check your maps before you start delivering where the high traffic areas are. You probably want to avoid areas that are super congested because unless you're on a scooter or a bike, you're going to eat away a ton of time just waiting in traffic, even if it seems like it's a short distance delivery. You're going to want to avoid toll roads if possible, and you're going to want to know what the best restaurants are to pick up from and what the worst, slowest restaurants are that may waste a little bit of your time. If you consistently are kept waiting a long time at a restaurant, it may be a smart idea to add that to your list and avoid that restaurant in the future. Another huge reason why you need to know your city is because Uber Eats is going to show you an order while you haven't completed the first order. So what I mean by that is I'm driving and I'm about 100 yards away from the house that I'm dropping an order off at. Uber Eats may suggest a new offer coming my way, but they're not going to show me that same screen that they usually show me when I'm not in the middle of a delivery. They're going to show me a screen that doesn't really have the full map on it. It just has a quick shot of the total distance, the total payout, the expected time. It's going to show me the restaurant name and it's going to show me the address of my customer. But I can't actually see this on a map. So I may be heading north, way far outside of the city. This is a place that I know I don't want to end up at because I've been, delivering for a while and I know I'm not going to get a ton of offers up there. But if I don't have that awareness of my city, then I might say, hey, this isn't that high on the mileage. It's a decent payout. And I may get dragged way far up north where I don't want to be. Number 5, target the best locations. Now this kind of goes hand in hand with number 4, and I really just have to stress this. I had to add another separate point for number 5 because there's just so much to cover here and so many mistakes that get made. So this is one of those areas that's really going to take some analysis on your end. It's something that you're going to have to look at over time as you learn your city more. One of the quick cheats that you can use if you're in a new city or you haven't delivered there before is you can pull up Google Maps and you can look for shopping districts. If you can't find any of those, try looking for McDonald's. Generally speaking, McDonald's are positioned in areas that are high traffic, full of a lot of other restaurants and a lot of hungry customers. So that's kind of a good place to start. Other places that I like to target are college campuses, suburbs that are close to downtown, and downtown depending on which city it is. So here in Seattle, I don't like to target downtown because downtown is just too busy most of the time, and I get stuck in a ton of traffic. So even though there's a lot of orders coming through, it doesn't make sense for me when I'm in a car. Now, if I were in a scooter or a bicycle, it would make a ton of sense. And it's probably going to be optimal because I can get between these locations very quickly. I can get in and out. And where I wouldn't have parking in a car, there's just really no parking for me. A lot of it's commercial zones, which you're going to want to avoid. Don't park in those. You'll definitely get a ticket. All of a sudden, on a scooter or a bike, you can just get in and out real quick, and you don't have to worry about that parking. Downtown also has a lot of high-rise apartment drop-offs, which for me is a reason to sometimes avoid downtown as well. A lot of times you spend a ton of time in that building just getting up to the drop point, and it wastes more of your time. So your earnings per hour are going to go down because of that. Now, one of the other big points that comes up within this is hotspots. Obviously, you're going to be getting paid a little bit more for peak pay when there's a bonus, but just getting to that hotspot does not guarantee that you're going to get an order. The heat map is a general area on the map where there's going to be higher demand, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily near restaurants that are going to get you those good orders that you want. So what you really need to do is you need to learn your city. You need to learn the best restaurants that are going to be, generally in these hotspots, and you need to head there. So another question that comes up on top of this is, after a drop off, do you sit in your car or do you head back towards the restaurants? And this is, another one of those things that comes with knowing the location. If your drop is near restaurants, it's near a good area, then you can probably sit in that car and you won't be, taking into account any expenses for driving around. If you are to leave that house and just start driving towards the next hotspot without knowing where restaurants are, odds are you're going to get pinged and you're going to have to head in a separate direction. You just wasted a ton of gas money getting somewhere that you didn't really need to be. So only once you really know your city, once you really have it down and know your area and you know the best restaurants to head to, should you be heading directly to those restaurants after a drop-off. Because otherwise you're just going to be wasting your time and you're going to be wasting your gas money. And if you're brand new, you've never really delivered much, and you can take one thing away from this, don't just drive and sit in a hot spot with peak pay and think that you're going to get orders because you're in that hot spot. Make sure that you've done some research on some good restaurants and places with a lot of restaurants and head towards those. Moving on to number 6. So once you've learned the best locations, you then need to learn the best times. Now, a good rule of thumb is lunch hours and dinner hours are the best hours to deliver. For me, it's usually dinner hours. That's when I focus everything. That's really the only time I'll be out there on the road delivering. But a lot of people do lunch and dinner as well. And some people do this full time. I definitely would not knock it if this is your full-time thing, because you can make full-time money delivering with Uber Eats. It's definitely possible. Plus, that added flexibility is really nice. But for me, the main benefit is the flexibility and the ability to be my own boss. So I'm only going to get out there in the dinner time hours. During the day, I have plenty of other stuff going on. I've put in the analysis and I've found that I'm going to get the highest earnings and the most bang for my buck when I'm delivering during dinner time. So during other hours of the day, I'm working on my side businesses. I have gigsharks.com, which is a great place to find different gig economy jobs in your city. I'm taking online courses to learn Python, and I'm also working on another YouTube channel where I talk about stocks and investing, which is another passion of mine. So I just really love talking about it, and it's something that I'd rather be spending my time on if I'm not going to be making good money doing something like delivery with Uber Eats. Now, there's also other gigs that are going to be better during the off hours. Maybe working with Amazon Flex, delivering packages during the middle of the day, working with another delivery app or a shopping app. If you want to multi-app with gigs, this is what you need to think about. You need to be thinking about the times of the day when each one of these is best, and you need to focus only on those times. And I always recommend multi-apping, and by that I don't mean delivering with multiple apps at the same time. I mean having multiple apps that you're actively registered for, because a lot of things change quickly in the gig economy. One day, one app's going to be your high earning, and a week or two later, it's going to switch to another app. So you want to be able to be flexible. You want to be able to make that move and change and adapt as you need to in your specific market. It's also possible that you get deactivated. Now, it's not highly likely, but it does happen, and sometimes it's kind of unexplained. So having a backup app is really a good thing. There's also services that provide protection for that, but just having that backup app is going to be your best move. That way, you can continue bringing in that income if for some reason you do get deactivated or the platform closes down in your city. And another big suggestion that goes in line with that, if you're delivering and you found your best hours, let's say it's dinner time and lunchtime, just turn your app off and go offline during the other hours. Set those goals. It all comes back to setting goals, and sometimes goals are outside of Uber Eats and you might be taking online classes. Don't leave your app on and get random pings while you're studying, while you're doing something else, while you're trying to spend time with family. Prioritize those other things and dedicate 100% to them. You're really just not going to get good results having the app on during off hours or during hours when you're trying to focus on something else. It's going to pull you away from that task. You might not get another order coming in directly after it because it's not peak hours, and then you just have to drive back and pick up from where you left off on that other thing you were doing. The last thing that I find very important to do when you're delivering with Uber Eats is setting aside money. This is number 7, and it's going to be the final tip, but it's one of the most important ones out there. A ton of things can come up when you're delivering with Uber Eats. You may have to do maintenance on your car. You're going to have to pay taxes at the end of the year. It's possible that you get deactivated and you're going to need some money. You're going to need a stockpile of cash somewhere to be able to pay bills for a minute. And after the first year that you've been an independent contractor, you have to start paying quarterly taxes. Now, this has been hotly debated on some of my other videos. Some people don't do it and haven't gotten in trouble. Some people strongly believe that you don't have to do it. But to my knowledge, from the tax professionals I've talked to, after year 1, you have to start paying those taxes, and you can base them off of the last year's taxes. I'll make a separate video for that one. And I know no one wants to talk about setting aside money. Everyone wants to talk about making money, how much money they're making. But once again, you are your own boss. This is your own business, and you need to have cash on the side for when times get hard. You're also going to be having to do a little bit of admin work, tracking those miles. You're going to have to strategize a little bit so that you make sure you're earning the most. It sounds like a lot if you're just doing this for the first time, but it's really not. It's just a couple things that you have to set aside every day or every week to do, and just build upon that, and it's going to make your life so much easier at the end of the day. And one of the things that you're going to have to set aside money for before you even start for Uber Eats is a heat bag. This is something that Uber is not going to send you in the mail. They're not going to provide it for you. I never got one. You're going to have your own. If you don't want to pay for it, I would recommend signing up for another food delivery app that does give you one for free. DoorDash and Postmates both do that. They will give you a bag. In my opinion, they're not the best heat bags, but they're better than nothing. And if you don't show up with a heat bag, if you don't keep that food warm, you're going to start losing tips that you thought you had up front. My favorite free heat bag is from Grubhub. They have by far the best quality heat bag. It's the most insulated and it keeps stuff warm like forever, but it does take a little bit longer to sign up for that platform and to get accepted on Grubhub. Doesn't mean you shouldn't go ahead and give it a try as well. If you don't have enough time to sign up for one of these other apps, you can always go on Amazon and find a good solid heat bag. You can start off with something cheaper, and then if you decide you like Uber Eats, make sure you invest the money in this. This is one of the biggest things for your customer, and you got to keep the customer happy. And most of these other apps like Uber Eats have referral rewards. So if you know someone that works with one of them already, you can go ahead and get their referral code. You might be able to get a sign-up bonus. Uber Eats has the same sort of thing. Take advantage of that. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to make money on the platform. Even if you don't, you can use those quests. As I mentioned last night, after 10 deliveries, I made a $40 bonus. There was another bonus after 20 deliveries that was a even bigger bonus. It was a $100 total. So you're talking $4 or $5 per delivery added on top of what you're already earning. And for me, it was already $10 a delivery. It's some pretty good money, so you can take advantage of all of that stuff. It really does add up at the end of the day, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Just make sure you check off the first couple simple things before you get out there on the road. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button. Go ahead and smash it so it gets to other people that are thinking about delivering for Uber Eats, that need the money and that want to make the most out of this opportunity. And subscribe to Gig Nation for all of the latest gig economy news and updates.